Hello everyone and welcome to my channel YNR Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the dimly lit Newman Ranch study, the night felt unusually heavy, almost suffocating, as if the walls themselves were bracing for another earth-shattering secret. Victor Newman stood in front of the fire, hands clasped behind his back, the flames reflecting off his eyes with a mixture of impatience and suspicion. He had summoned Sienna with the belief that she was ready, finally ready, to give him the answers he'd been demanding for weeks, answers that slipped through everyone else's fingers like smoke. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared him for the revelation she was about to unleash. The door opened slowly, creaking like it feared what lay on the other side. Sienna stepped in, shoulders tense, her breath shallow, clearly battling her nerves. Victor watched her carefully, studying every micro-expression. "You said you had something to tell me," he growled in that iconic deep rumble. "Something I need to know." And with that pressure hanging over her like a noose, Sienna realized there was no going back. She knew the truth she was about to reveal would blow open every assumption, every plan, every step Victor thought he had under control. She'd spent weeks wrestling with it, convincing herself there must be another explanation, another culprit, someone easier to blame. But the truth was immovable. It was poisonous. And the longer she held it inside, the deeper it burned. Taking a shaky breath, she moved closer to Victor, as if the distance between them somehow magnified the weight of her confession. Victor narrowed his eyes. "Are you going to speak or continue standing there trembling like a leaf?" Sienna swallowed, then finally forced herself to say it. "Victor, the person pulling the strings, the one behind all of this chaos. It's not who you think. It's someone none of us saw coming." Victor stiffened, gripping the edge of the mantle. He'd confronted enemies before. He'd destroyed rivals, traitors, even family members when pushed too far. But Sienna's tone told him this wasn't the usual schemer. This wasn't Audra or Claire or Adam or Tucker or even Jack. This was someone operating deeper, someone who had used them all as pawns. "Say the name," Victor demanded. But Sienna hesitated, shaking her head as if saying it aloud might make it more real. The silence pressed in, thick and unbearable. Outside, the wind howled against the windows like an omen. "Victor," she whispered, "the real puppet master is someone inside your world. Someone you trust. Someone who's been playing both sides." Victor felt cold rip through him. Not fear but rage disguised as stillness. "Who?" he barked. Sienna shut her eyes. Jordan's return wasn't random. Claire's breakdown wasn't accidental. Nikki's recent sabotage wasn't influenced by alcohol. All of it connects back to one person. Someone with a long memory. Someone who knows every crack in your family. Victor's jaw tightened. His mind raced. But every name he considered didn't fit. Not like this. Not with this level of control. Sienna saw his confusion and realized she needed to back up. She needed to show him the whole picture. "Victor," she said, pacing now with nervous energy, "months ago, before Claire reappeared in your lives, before Jordan resurfaced, before half of the family started unraveling, someone hired a team of investigators, private, untraceable, to gather dirt on every Newman connection. That same person manipulated Jordan into targeting Nikki again. That person backed Audra's secret operations. That person intercepted your AI program files and fed them to one of your biggest rivals. That person even paid Holden to get close to Audra and monitor her movements, all while making sure she couldn't connect it back to them." Victor's blood pressure surged. This wasn't a small attack. This was a coordinated dismantling of everything Newman stood for. Someone had orchestrated a season of sabotage so layered, so deliberate, it bordered on genius. "You tell me," Victor said slowly, dangerously, "who the hell is responsible for this?" Sienna clenched her fists. "It's someone who hates what Newman Enterprises has become. Someone who wants revenge, not just on you but on the entire Newman family. Someone who has been waiting for years to strike. And they're finally making their move." Victor leaned forward. "Who?" Sienna's eyes flooded with fear. "Victor, it's Cole." The room exploded with silence. Heavy, thick, unnatural. Victor's face froze in pure disbelief. "Cole? Cole Howard? A man whose history with Victoria was messy but nowhere near sinister enough for this level of sabotage. A man who had presented himself as quiet, reserved, almost moral. "What the hell are you talking about?" Victor snapped. Sienna knew this reaction was coming. She'd prepared for it. "I didn't want to believe it either," she whispered. "But I've seen the documents. I've heard the recordings. Cole has been funding operations under multiple shell corporations. He's been working with Jordan long before Claire even re-entered our lives. He approached Audra months ago under a false identity. He's been pulling the strings behind nearly everything." Victor shook his head, refusing to accept such absurdity. But Sienna stepped closer. "Why do you think Jordan changed her targets so quickly? Why do you think Claire was pushed into emotional corners she couldn't escape? Why do you think Nikki's relapse seemed so orchestrated?" Victor stared at her, stunned into silence. His brain worked overtime, replaying every encounter he'd had with Cole, every conversation. Every moment Cole appeared helpful, supportive, trustworthy. And suddenly cracks began to appear. Times when Cole had access he shouldn't have. Times when he conveniently showed up with solutions. Times when he redirected suspicion. Times he lingered around Claire more than necessary. "This is impossible," Victor muttered. "Cole doesn't have the guts." Sienna cut him off. "He does now. He's not the man you remember. And he's been playing a long game." Victor felt the fury rising in him like magma. "Why? What the hell does he want?" Sienna locked eyes with him. "He blames you for everything that happened with Eve. For Claire's tortured childhood. For Victoria's heartbreak. For the destruction of his family. He believes the Newmans took everything from him. And he wants revenge, Victor. Not petty revenge, total destruction." Victor inhaled sharply, his chest tight. "Why tell me this now?" he asked. Sienna stepped even closer, voice trembling. "Because Cole contacted me. He wanted me to manipulate Noah. He wanted access through me. He wanted me to turn on your family. And when I refused, he threatened me. He threatened my mother. He threatened to expose secrets I didn't even know he had." Victor stared at her, shocked not just by her words but by the terror in her eyes. "I am telling you this because Cole's next move will tear your family apart in ways you can't imagine. And he's already set everything in motion." Victor's fingers curled tightly around the mantle, the muscles in his jaw twitching as he fought to control the storm that threatened to erupt inside him. Sienna's confession hung heavily in the air. A revelation so monstrous, so implausible, that even his hardened instincts struggled to process it. Cole Howard, of all people, had positioned himself as the mastermind? The silent strategist behind attacks that had nearly destroyed the Newman family? The calm-faced academic who once loved Victoria and claimed to want nothing but healing for Claire? Victor's eyes narrowed. "You're telling me," he said, voice low enough to make the walls tremble, "that Cole Howard has been waging a secret war against my family right under my nose?" Sienna nodded with a slow, painful certainty. "Yes, Victor. And he's not done. He's only getting started." Victor turned away from her, pacing, his steps echoing with the weight of decades of battles. He'd seen enemies rise from the shadows before. He'd seen former allies turn without warning. But Cole Howard? A man who had always seemed passive, gentle, even weak in comparison to the Newman Empire? It didn't make sense. Unless Victor had been wrong all along. Unless Cole had been hiding behind that quiet persona, gathering strength, studying them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Show me the proof," Victor demanded. "If what you're saying is true, then you damn well better back it up." Sienna reached into her bag with trembling hands. She pulled out a file, thick, worn, marked with numbers and codes Victor recognized as covert financial markers. She laid it on the table as if it were a live bomb. Victor flipped it open. Inside were copies of wire transfers connected to abandoned accounts, shell corporations located in Geneva, Luxembourg, and Tokyo. But one shell corporation in particular caught Victor's eye. Auric Horizon Holdings. A name that meant nothing, until he saw the signature authorization on the last page. V. Howard. Not Cole's full legal name, but an alias he'd used years ago during his academic travel overseas. An alias few people even remembered. Victor froze. His chest tightened. His next exhale was slow, cold, lethal. "My God," he whispered. "The little bastard actually thinks he can take me down." Sienna stepped forward. This is only part of it. Cole created an entire network around himself. Jordan was never working alone, she was executing his plan. And when Claire came back into the picture, he manipulated her emotions. He convinced her that the Newmans were the reason her life fell apart. He weaponized her trauma. Victor's fury surged. He used my granddaughter? He exploited a young woman's pain for revenge. The fire in the fireplace crackled violently, as if in response. Sienna nodded. And he knew that you would never suspect him. Everyone sees Cole as harmless, broken, still grieving the past. But that's the mask he hides behind. He doesn't want to destroy Newman Enterprises quickly, Victor. He wants to dismantle it piece by piece. He wants you to feel it. Victor slammed the file shut. Where is he now? Sienna looked terrified by the question. That's the problem, no one knows. Audra hasn't seen him. Claire hasn't seen him. Even Victoria thinks he left town to clear his head. But he didn't leave. He's been in Genoa City this entire time, moving in the shadows. Victor's gaze sharpened into something deadly. He thinks he can hide from me? He thinks he can lay a hand on my family and walk away alive? He will regret the day he ever crossed me. But Sienna wasn't finished. Her voice softened, weighted by a darker truth. Victor. Cole's not working alone anymore. Victor turned. What do you mean? She hesitated, swallowing hard. Cole recently recruited someone with deep access inside Newman. Someone who can feed him updates in real time. Victor's spine stiffened. Who? Her breath shook. Someone close to Victoria. Victor's heart pounded with a rush of dread, suspicion, and disbelief. Who the hell are you talking about? Sienna stepped back, clasping her hands tightly as if steadying herself. Cole demanded I keep this part quiet. But if I don't tell you now, everything will fall apart. She inhaled sharply. It's Nate. Victor froze again, harder this time. Nate Hastings. Sienna nodded. He and Cole have been meeting in secret. Nate thought he was helping Victoria. He thought Cole could heal the family dynamic. But Cole twisted everything. He manipulated Nate into giving him restricted access. Internal Newman documents, project timelines, even private messages. Nate didn't realize he was being played until it was too late. Victor practically growled. So Nate betrayed me. Sienna shook her head. No, Victor. Nate was tricked. This wasn't malicious. Cole's not just smart, he's psychologically skilled. He can read people, exploit their weak points. Nate believed he was protecting Victoria, not hurting the company. But Cole took the information and used it to sabotage Newman under the radar. And now? Cole's using that intel to set up his endgame. Victor backed away slowly, one hand on his forehead. He had expected enemies in corporate towers, ambitious rivals, jealous former partners. But Cole had taken the battlefield into an entirely new dimension. Emotional, psychological, deeply personal. He had weaponized Claire's identity crisis. He had leveraged Victoria's vulnerability. He had manipulated Nate's need for redemption. He had inserted himself into Newman history in a way that made his motives eerily intimate. Why didn't Nate come to me? Victor demanded. Sienna's eyes fell. Because Cole threatened him. He told Nate that if he said anything, Victoria would suffer consequences she couldn't recover from, publicly and privately. Cole knows things about Victoria no one should know. Things she told him in confidence years ago. Victor's face hardened. Sienna, what else are you hiding? She hesitated again, then whispered. Cole has another target. Someone he intends to break next. Someone he believes holds the key to bringing the Newman family to its knees. Victor's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. Who? Sienna looked him dead in the eyes. Nick. Victor's breath stopped. What has he done to my son? Sienna stepped closer. Cole has been feeding Nick misinformation. He's sending him leaks, anonymous tips, and fake internal reports, making him believe Adam is planning to steal key Newman assets. Cole wants Nick and Adam to destroy each other. And when that happens, the entire family structure collapses. Cole wins. Victor turned toward the window, fists clenching and unclenching, rage thick in his blood. When did Cole become this monster? Sienna whispered. When he lost everything. When Claire was kidnapped. When Eve's memory was poisoned. When he believed Victor Newman cost him the life he deserved. Victor spun. So now he wants revenge? Sienna nodded. A very specific kind. He doesn't want to dismantle Newman on a public stage. He wants your family to implode from the inside. He wants your legacy shattered by your own children. Victor stepped closer, his voice vibrating with lethal restraint. What is his next move? Sienna took a shaky breath. Victor. Cole's next target is Victoria herself. And what he plans to do to her. Maybe something even you can't stop. Victor turned slowly, the fire behind him casting long shadows that made him look even more imposing, more dangerous, more like the titan who built Newman from nothing. He wants to go after Victoria? He asked, voice deep enough to vibrate in the floorboards. Sienna nodded, her palms sweating as she braced for the worst of his reaction. But Victor didn't explode, not yet. The more dangerous version of him appeared. The silent, strategic, calculating Victor Newman who didn't act on impulse but on cold, lethal precision. Tell me everything, he ordered. Sienna stepped closer. Cole believes Victoria is the crown jewel in the Newman empire. Not just because she runs major divisions, not just because she's respected, but because she represents your legacy more than anyone else. Cole thinks that if Victoria falls, emotionally, psychologically, and publicly, the entire Newman bloodline destabilizes. He wants to break her spirit the same way he believes you broke his. Victor's eyes darkened. How? Sienna steadied herself. Cole is planning to expose a secret Victoria told him years ago. Something she confided in him back when they were rebuilding trust, long before Claire returned and long before Jordan manipulated them. Something deeply personal, deeply painful. Victor's jaw clenched. What secret? Sienna swallowed hard. Something about her past with JT. The entire atmosphere changed at the mention of that name. Victor froze as though time itself had paused. JT Hellstrom. A man whose history with Victoria was soaked in trauma, manipulation, and violence. A man whose influence nearly destroyed Victoria's confidence, her career, her sense of safety. What does Cole know? Victor asked in a low growl. Sienna hesitated, not wanting to reveal Victoria's personal trauma. But she knew the stakes were too high now. Cole has recordings, she whispered. Recordings of private therapy sessions, old voice memos she made during the worst of JT's abuse, emotional confessions she shared only with him. Somehow, Cole was able to get access to notes from a therapist Victoria saw briefly, someone who later left town. Cole stole them. He kept them hidden for years. Victor's chest tightened. He felt something he rarely allowed himself to feel. Disgust so deep that it bordered on nausea. He wants to expose her trauma publicly? Sienna nodded. He wants to use it as a weapon. To humiliate her. To make her question her self-worth. To remind her of every mistake she ever made. He thinks it will shatter her confidence permanently. She paused, voice trembling. He wants her destroyed. Victor felt rage burn through his veins like wildfire. Over my dead body. But Sienna wasn't done. Victor. Cole also has something else. Something connected to the AI program. Something Victoria doesn't even know he has. Victor's eyebrows lifted. What? Sienna took a deep, steadying breath. Cole intercepted the original prototype files. The ones Nikki was blamed for leaking. Victor whipped around so fast the air shifted. He has them. Yes, Sienna said. And he's planning to alter them. Make it look like Victoria sabotaged the project intentionally. His plan is to leak the altered data during the next board session. He wants the board to think Victoria committed corporate fraud. That she stole code. That she lied. He wants Newman to turn against her. Victor's fury reached a boiling point. He wants her thrown out of the company. No, Sienna said quietly. He wants her to become the reason Newman collapses. Victor inhaled sharply. The betrayal cut deep. Not because Cole targeted the company, but because he targeted Victor's daughter. The one child he has always believed carried his true instincts, his drive, his ambition. Victoria wasn't just part of Newman. She was Newman. Cole attacking her was no different than attacking the empire itself. But as Victor processed the enormity of Cole's schemes, Sienna continued. There's more. Cole wants to isolate her emotionally before the corporate attack. He's been manipulating Claire. Victor stiffened. How? Sienna bit her lip. Cole has been sending Claire anonymous messages, pretending to be someone from her past. Someone she trusts. He's planting doubts in her mind about Victoria's sincerity. He wants Claire to pull away from her mother, to doubt her, question her, mistrust her. If Claire pulls back, Victoria will spiral emotionally. Cole is counting on that. Victor's chest heaved with restrained anger. He wants Victoria alone. Unprotected. Yes, Sienna whispered. He wants her to experience the same emotional abandonment he felt when his family was torn apart, all while believing you are responsible. Victor shook his head slowly, grimly. Jordan corrupted him, but he made his own choices. And for that, he'll answer to me. But Sienna stepped forward. Victor, you still don't know the worst part. Victor's eyes sharpened, cutting into her like lasers. You better start talking. Sienna's breath hitched. Cole has someone else helping him. Someone who has been feeding him confidential information about your movements, your plans, your deals. Someone inside Newman, close enough to overhear conversations, read emails, access restricted floors. Victor leaned forward. Who is it this time? Sienna shook her head. Victor, it's not one person. It's two. Victor froze. Explain. She braced herself. Cole has been manipulating two people who don't even know they're working together. Two people he has convinced he can protect or help. Victor's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. Who? Sienna held her breath, then exhaled the names. Summer and Adam. Victor stared at her, expression blank with shock. Sienna rushed to explain. Summer thinks Cole is helping her gather evidence to protect Harrison from Tucker. She doesn't know he's using her access to Jabot servers to gain leverage against Newman divisions. She swallowed. And Adam? Adam thinks Cole is feeding him information to expose Nick's mistakes. Cole convinced Adam that Nick has been plotting behind his back. Victor dragged a hand over his face. My children are being used as pawns. Sienna nodded. And Cole loves it. He loves watching all of you fight. He believes the Newmans have always thrived on conflict, so he decided to give you conflict that would turn nuclear. Victor stepped back, staring at nothing. He wasn't just angry now, he was betrayed, violated. Cole Howard had infiltrated his family at every emotional pressure point, inserting poison quietly, invisibly, expertly. And Sienna, trembling but determined, delivered the final blow. Victor. Cole's planning something for tonight. Victor snapped into focus. What? Sienna clutched her arms. He's arranged a meeting at an abandoned property outside Genoa City. He's planning to lure Victoria there. He wants her alone. He wants to confront her with everything. Her trauma, her mistakes, her secrets, and break her psychologically before he moves on to the public attack. Victor's nostrils flared. How does he expect to get Victoria there? Sienna hesitated. Victor, he's using Claire. Victor froze cold. Sienna whispered. Claire is already on her way. In that moment, something ancient and terrifying awakened in Victor Newman. The part of him that had survived wars, betrayals, takeovers, kidnappings, and every assault a man could endure.